to the weapons of war. One year on, the most spoken about word is fighter jet, one of the main demands of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
We are going to raise the issue of the fighter jets and other aircraft, so we continue our work here in Brussels.
This request has been taken to the corridors of the White House, Westminster Hall, and the European Parliament.
Will the United States provide F-16s to Ukraine?
No.
We've started that process today. That's because we're keen to support the President and his country in delivering a victory, and nothing is off the table.
Ukraine says that modern-day jets could turn the tide of the war. Currently, Ukraine is relying on its Soviet-era fleet. Many of the weapons were designed during the Cold War. Ukraine and Russia have always had a similar military aircraft inventory, not in terms of numbers, but characteristics. When the war started, Ukraine's inventory included 37 MiG-29s, 34 Su-27s, 31 Su-25s, and 14 Su-24s. Just 5 months into the war, 35 Ukrainian combat aircraft were destroyed. In order to keep up with the demands of the war, Zelensky turned to his allies for help. His wish list included a number of fighter jets. First are the F-16s. They're considered one of the most versatile aircraft in the US Air Force inventory. F-16s can carry out air-to-air fighting, ground attacks, and electronic warfare. They can locate targets in all weather conditions. Next on the list is the Gripen. It's a Swedish fighter jet. It's popular for its affordability, and it can carry the Meteor air-to-air missile. It's specifically designed to reduce the effectiveness of the radars used by Russian jets. Eurofighter Typhoons are also on the list. They were designed by a consortium of British, German, Spanish, and Italian companies. They can carry up to 6 bombs, 6 missiles, a cannon, and a targeting pod. The West has armed Ukraine with a number of tanks. This includes the Leopard 2. Many European countries are using it. It's easier to maintain, more fuel efficient than most tanks. But they're heavier than the Russian equivalent. Germany has provided 14 Leopard tanks to Ukraine. The UK is providing 14 Challenger 2 tanks to Ukraine. Ukraine has also received more than 200 T-72M1 tanks from Poland, the Czech Republic, and other countries. So what's the US given? It has pledged 31 M1 Abrams to Ukraine. President Joe Biden called them the most capable tanks in the world. That's not all. America will also dispatch 90 Strykers. These are combat vehicles and used to transport infantry. Strykers have been used in Iraq and Afghanistan. The US also donated Bradley infantry fighting vehicles. The US, Germany, and the Netherlands will also be sending Patriot missile systems. It's a highly sophisticated system requiring specialized training for Ukrainian soldiers. One Patriot missile costs around $3 million. Ukraine has been using the Soviet-era S-300, a surface-to-air system to intercept Russian missiles. Ukraine has also received howitzers from its allies including the US, Canada, and Australia. Turkey has sold Bayraktar TB2 armed drones to Ukraine. These are used in Syria, Iraq, Ethiopia, and the Nagorno-Karabakh region. This long list notwithstanding, what Ukraine really wants now are fighter jets, but it seems there are no takers, at least as of now. Last month, Biden was asked if he would approve Ukraine's request for F-16s. He said no.
Will the United States provide F-16s to Ukraine?
No.
While still declaring his steadfast support for Ukraine during his trip to Kyiv.
Together, we've committed nearly 700 tanks and thousands of armored vehicles, 1,000 artillery systems, more than 2 million rounds of artillery ammunition, more than 50 advanced launch rocket systems, anti-ship and air defense systems, all defend Ukraine, and that doesn't count the other $500 million we're announcing with you today and tomorrow. That's going to be coming your way.
UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak chose the diplomatic route.
I said what I've done is say to all allies that we stand ready to support them if they can provide fighter jets to Ukraine now. And for our part, we're also leading the world in training Ukrainian pilots on NATO standard aircraft. That's the right thing to do, because this is about giving Ukraine the means to defend themselves and win this war.
While French President Macron rejected the demand. And German Chancellor Scholz was even more blunt, warning against an arms race over supply of weapons to Ukraine. Now let's take a look at Russia's arsenal. Notable among Russia's arms are recently used long-range precision weapons. This includes the Kh-55 and Kh-101 cruise missiles, Caliber cruise missiles, and Iskander missiles. Russian forces have also repeatedly used S-300 surface-to-air defense missile systems, phosphorus bombs, vacuum bombs, cluster bombs. US officials reportedly say that senior Russian military leaders are discussing when and how Moscow should deploy a tactical nuclear weapon in Ukraine. Putin, in his State of the Nation address, also warned the West, saying Russia's nuclear forces have been modernized and ready for defense.
In this situation, the Ministry of Defense and Rosatom must ensure readiness to test Russian nuclear weapons. We, of course, will not be the first to do this. But if the US conducts tests, we will do so too. No one should be under the illusion that global strategic parity can be violated.
On the first-year anniversary of Russia's war in Ukraine, the war machinery is raging on. As Ukraine waits for its wings of freedom, Russia warns the West against escalation.